Hello and welcome to episode 62 of the She.Must.Knit podcast. My name is Erin and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you guys had a great week. I had a super busy work week. I've mentioned over the past couple of episodes that I've been preparing for my next show, which is the Kawartha Yarn and Fiber Fest up in Fenland Falls. It is happening tomorrow, and while I did have a lot of stock left over from other previous shows, I always want to make sure that I have some new things. And so yeah, I was doing a lot of work this week and somehow I had very little knitting time. I had all these plans for this week, all these plans for the projects that I wanted to work on, and I always seem to have, the amount of knitting time that I have in my head never seems to be the amount of knitting time that I have in real life. There were several evenings where I did not knit at all. There was even 1 or 2 days where I did not even pick up my knitting. That is unheard of. So I'm actually surprised that I have anything to share with you at all today. But what do I have? I have a finished object. I have progress on a project that I shared last week. Actually, no, it was not cast on yet, but I have progress on a project that I talked about last week. I have another project that I have started. I have 10 random facts. So this week is a chat week, and I thought it would be fun to do another 10 random facts. And then what else do I have? Ooh, I have a little vote for you. And that, I think that's it. So even though it feels like I have absolutely nothing to show you, I think I have enough to share anyway. So let's get started. I'm going to have a quick sip of my coffee. I have the flavor chocolate fudge today. Last week, I think I mentioned that we were going to go celebrate my mom's birthday, and we did. It was lovely. We went to her favorite restaurant. But while I was down in her area, she lives in Toronto, I stopped by at the coffee shop that is near her that sells flavored ground coffee, and I picked up 2 new flavors to get me through till when I can order from Bones Coffee. So I picked up some chocolate fudge, and then I also picked up a pistachio because that sounded really interesting. So it's chocolate fudge today. That's going to get me through, and we are going to start with my finished object. So I did anticipate that I would have these done for this week because they were a quick project, and I was a fair bit into the second sock. So I am talking about my Citrine Socks, the Citrine Sockettes or Socklets. That is how they are written, to just be little tiny socks, but I have made them longer. The pattern is from the Interweave Knits Holiday 2008, and the reason that I use this pattern is because one of the squares on my bingo card this year, and we are going to be talking a lot about the bingo this episode because I think everything I'm working on works towards the bingo, but one of my squares was to knit a pair of sport weight socks, and then also another square was to knit from patterns that I already have in my library. And so I was able to combine those 2 things, and I did a search on Ravelry in my library, and this pattern came up, and I thought perfect. So for the most part, I did follow it as written. I just made a few changes that were more to do with how I like my socks to fit. And yeah, so these are the finished socks. I've got both here. I really liked the cable. Oh, we've just been joined by Mr. T. We'll see if he causes any trouble. I do have his grocery bag that he likes to lie on ready for him, so hopefully he'll lie down. But I really liked the cable pattern that came as written, and so I did do that all the way down the sock and down the foot there. The main changes that I made, so I did change the cast on number. The pattern as written was for one size with an 8-inch circumference, and I do like a larger or a more comfortable fit on my legs, so I think I added about 10 stitches overall, just to make the top. He just laid down on his bag, so we should be good. So I did make the leg 10 stitches, about 10 stitches wider throughout here. What I did was, because the cables are going down the sides on both sides, I incorporated those extra stitches into these stockinette panels on the front and back. So that was a really easy modification. Something else I did was I did ribbing on the top. I'm not sure if you can really tell. The pictures in the pattern are not very detailed, but you can kind of see here that there's a very short ribbed cuff, and then right on the front there it's like a seed stitch design just along there. So I didn't like that as much. I just wanted a ribbed cuff. So I just did ribbing. I made the ribbing a little bit longer than in the pattern. I increased some stitches for the leg, but then I followed it as is. The pattern does call for a short row heel, so I did a German short row heel there. And then, like I usually do with any socks that I knit, especially if they're for myself, I decrease after I got past the, like where you start to join in the round again after you're done your heel. I decreased the extra stitches from the leg down to a smaller number for the foot, and I think I decreased them along the, so right there you can see some decreases. So I didn't decrease them right along the side. I kind of did it because the cable was running right along there. I didn't want the decreases to run into the cable, so I kind of did them in different spots than I normally would. But I decreased down to a smaller number, continued with the foot, and then just ended with your standard, you know, decreases and Kitchener for the toe. So these are done. These mark off one square, another square on my bingo. I have made so much progress, it feels like, this month, or at least by the end of the month, especially with the progress that I will be adding. I've made so much progress on my bingo card. I cannot wait to update you. I think I'm going to do an update at the end of the month, but I cannot wait to update you with how much progress I've made. So these are done. So again, my goal was to make a pair of sport weight socks. So this is a sport weight yarn that I had in my shop last year. It is a non-superwash merino and nylon blend, and it is just super soft and squishy, which is why I wanted a pair of socks made out of this yarn. And the colorway is Rainbow Pop. I did a kind of a series of colors that were kind of a gray base and then different kind of pops of colors. So this was Rainbow Pop. So those are done, and then while we are talking about the bingo challenge, I just wanted to mention that it is June. It is the halfway point of the challenge now. If you do not follow me on Instagram, or you don't pop into the Bling Your String group very often, but you are participating in the Bling Your String Crafty Bingo Challenge, I wanted to let you know that now is the time that you have the opportunity to switch up some of your goals. So having done this challenge, last year was the first year we did the bingo challenge, but I had done kind of goal orientated challenges previous to that. I know that you start the year off with good intentions, but by the time several months pass, you know, new patterns come out, your interests change. Oftentimes there are certain goals that you were really excited about at the beginning of the year that you kind of lose your motivation to complete. So June is the time for this challenge where you have the opportunity to switch up some goals. There's a post in the group in the bingo thread on how this happens and how many goals you can change and in what way you can change them. But if you are participating and this is something you want to do for your card, please go to the group and read that post. Also, if you're a new viewer and you had no idea that this Crafty Bingo Challenge was going on, you can join at any point during the year. So you can go to the thread and just say you'd like to join, and I will make you a card. And then all you have to do is pick out your own goals, and you would pick things that at this point you can still complete over the rest of the year. There's still 6 months left. There's lots of time to participate, and then at the end of the challenge, I do draws for a grand prize for all the entries, and you get an entry for every row of bingo that you complete. And then also I do little monthly draws for participating in the group. So that's all I wanted to say about that. If you are participating, make sure you go check out that thread in case there are any goals that you want to change up. The next thing that I have to show you is the progress that I am making on my June Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. Last week it was not quite June 1st yet, so I showed you the yarn that I was going to be casting on with, but I have since cast them on and I have made a fair bit of progress. Now I will say that pretty much all the progress that I'm about to show you was made over the weekend, and then during the week I barely touched these because I was trying to get so many bags done and more yarn kits put together, and just yesterday I spent the whole day packing up all my stock and just doing the last bits and pieces and stitch markers and stuff. So yeah, I have barely touched these this week. But these are the socks that I'm making out of my June Desert Vista Dyeworks yarn. And this, I think it's actually knitting up really pretty. This is not a colorway that I would have purchased. It's called Rose Champagne. This is the colorway that all the participants last year who completed every single month of the challenge got as kind of their reward at the end of the year. But it is very pretty. When I started knitting it, I thought maybe it was just a 2-stripe colorway. But now that it's knit up more, I think it is a 3-striper. So you can see there's definitely the pink, there's like this very, very light tan, and then this stripe here is very close to that with the speckles. But when you hold it back, I think you can see that it is 3 stripes. I am making these for Avery's teacher as the end of the year gift. I know what size feet she has. Avery found that out for me. And I've decided to do something very similar to the Jangles sock pattern. That is a pattern that I did for my February pair, and I just really like it as a base for my vanilla, kind of my vanilla socks. Like I can do it with ribbing. This one I'm doing ribbing all the way through just because they're not for me. And while I do know her teacher's foot size, I don't know how wide her feet are. I don't know what shape her feet are. So I just figured ribbing would be the safest bet. But I can still follow the same structure of that pattern and only do a ribbed cuff and then just do stockinette. I just really like the basic structure of that pattern. So at the back, I have started the heel increases. And yeah, so I'm doing the same. The Jangles pattern comes with kind of like a triangular shaped heel. I really like this heel. I like knitting it. I'm at the point now where I've basically memorized it. I don't need to refer to the pattern. And then also I have been wearing, so last month I made the May Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. These are the first pair this year that I have made for myself. And I made them using this kind of basic structure with this triangular heel. I have been wearing them a lot recently, especially since that darn weather is still not warming up. It's kind of warmed up the last 2 days, but there's still been some chilly days. So I've been wearing those socks, and I can say that they fit me really, really, really well. So I'm so happy with how this structure fits a foot. And I have had trouble with socks fitting in the past, so I feel pretty confident about using this structure for my gift socks. So yeah, I have started the heel increases. I have to keep increasing in this little area here until I reach a certain amount of stitches, and then I am going to knit to the center and start going back and forth with decreases until I get back to my my leg size, so my regular stitch count. Now, because again I don't know what her foot or leg size is, I am knitting these as I would for myself. I have added more stitches for the leg, and I'm going to decrease them down for the foot, just because especially with the added ribbing, I think that is going to be the most flexible in terms of fit. Hopefully they will fit really nicely. She's a size 9 and I'm a size 8.5, 9, so I will be able to gauge the fit on myself a little bit, which will be handy. So yeah, this is my progress so far. I do have like I said, the Kawartha show tomorrow. After that show, I have a nice little gap before my next trunk show. I have a trunk show at Unwind Yarn House on the 22nd. But things will start to get back to normal. So I'll have my normal knitting time, and I don't think it will be a problem finishing these socks. So that's the only other knitting project I work on this week. Some of you might be saying, but Erin, you said last week that you were going to try and finish the lace pullover because your friend's birthday party is on the 15th and you need to finish that for the 15th. And don't you worry, that was going in through my head all week this week. Yes, I know I have a deadline, and now I know I have 1 week, and I did not touch it this week. But next week, that is going to be a designated project. I'm going to be working pretty much exclusively on that, with the DVD socks kind of added in there in a little bit, because I need to finish that. So you will see that for sure. For sure, you will see that next week. The only other thing that I was working on this week was something I did talk about last week as well, was my spinning project. So this is something that has been on my monthly goals for like the last 3 months. I keep saying I want to do my mystic spin. I want to do my mystic spin. And I mentioned in the last episode that one of the reasons I think that I just haven't started it is because my wheel was not in a convenient place. I had it in the corner, and really if I have it near my desk where I am a lot of the time, I find it much easier to kind of spin in little snippets. So this week I moved it over to my desk and I've started spinning it. And so I have that to share with you. So the fiber itself, now I keep calling it my Mystic Spin because that's what I thought was in the name, but I'm totally wrong. It's called Earth Magic, but I'm still going to call it Mystic because I just like that. So you can see the name here is called Earth Magic, and the company that I ordered this from is Blue Mountain Handcrafts. And I ordered it during a time where I was really interested in spinning roll eggs. And I still do like spinning roll eggs. So this is one here. They're quite pretty. So there's one. Oh, they're so pretty. So there's lots of sparkle in there. And I do like that you could choose. Actually, I don't think you could, like, you couldn't say, okay, I want this color in this prep. But with each of their listings, they did make note of, you can see that right there, smooth is circled. You could choose the ones that had the kind of prep that you liked. And for roll eggs, I do prefer a smooth prep because I don't like an excessive amount of little bits and fuzzies and lumps going through when I'm spinning. I like a fairly smooth finish. I don't mind a little bit of texture here and there, but for the most part, though I have spun some roll eggs in the past that are more textured, I just know at this point that I prefer them to be a little bit more smooth. So I have spun, I think this has 3 of those roll eggs on it right now. This is what I've done so far. And my goal with this is not to be super fine. I don't have a project in mind for this yarn. I just want to spin this fiber. And generally when I don't have a project in mind, I kind of go to my default thickness, which is a little bit thicker than like fingering, but a little bit, it's not a bulky spin. So this will probably end up being like a worsted weight yarn, which is fine. There's lots of ways that you can incorporate worsted yarn. But yeah, so this has about 3 roll eggs on it right now, and I counted how many roll eggs are left in the bag, and there's about 4 roll eggs. So I should have no problem finishing this by the end of the month, and then I think that's the last skein of hand spun that I need to mark off that square as well. My goal for the year was to do 3 skeins of hand spun, and this will be my 3rd, so I'll be able to mark that off. I don't know why it's taken me so long to just sit down and spin this. So that is the spinning that I've done. And then the only other thing that I have to share with you before we get into the 10 random facts is I have a little vote for you guys. So one of the things that I want to cast on soon, and I think I mentioned this about 2 episodes ago, one of the things that I've just been dying to cast on is some hand spun socks. This is another goal on my bingo card. And because I finished the Citrine socks and I'm working on my DVD socks, I have room to be working on another pair of socks. And I think for these ones, because they're going to be for me, I think they're just going to be like a vanilla pair. I think I can cast on my hand spun socks finally. But I have 3 skeins of yarn that I've kind of had in mind that would make kind of fun hand spun socks, and honestly I would be happy with hand spun socks from any of these skeins, so I thought it might be fun to share them with you and get your opinion and see which skein you think I should use for my hand spun socks. So this is going to be for a vote. You can comment below what you think and we'll see what the majority is. So the first skein that I have is one that I spun. I didn't put any dates on here, so it would have been at least probably 2 years ago. But I spun this using some tiddly bits, and basically that's just a whole bunch of little bits of fiber in different colors in a bag, and I just spun them one after another and then plied them, and I got this like really fun kind of a rainbow yarn. And I would say that this is closer to a sock weight. I think some parts are probably fingering weight, other parts are closer to sport weight. But yeah, so I've got this one here. So this is the Tiddly Bits Rainbow yarn. And then the next one I have is this one here. And again, I think I probably spun this about 2 years ago. And this is made with some Dorset yarns or Dorset fiber. And the reason that I chose that particular fiber is because I was looking for something that was, I knew it wasn't like superwash. It's not a superwash fiber, but it is a fiber that does not felt easily. So I knew it would be good for socks that were not washable, like not treated to be superwash, but also that wouldn't felt easily. So this is just a combination of kind of like blues. So there's the Dorset blue fiber or Dorset blue yarn. And then the last one it is thicker, but I just think these would be another pair of like thicker, cozy winter socks. So I have this one here, and it's been caked for a long time just because I wanted to see how the colors looked all together. But this I spun with one of my club shipments from years ago, from Fat Cat Knits. And if you remember, if you've been a long time viewer, I think I mentioned at one point that she has stopped dyeing, and I was so, I don't want to say I was upset because, you know, it's up to her. But it was very sad to see her go, because she was one of my favorite fiber dyers, and she did a lot of really fun clubs, and I have fiber from a lot of her clubs. I've spun a lot of her clubs, but this is one from one of the clubs, and I remember it being like a metamorphosis kind of theme, and so I spun this. You got 2 braids of different colorways that would kind of work together, and I think I did spin them as a combo and I joined them up. So I kind of got this rainbow gradient. I think it will stripe because I did chunks of color together. I'm not sure. This one is going to be a mystery. I have no idea how this one is going to knit up. But this is definitely thicker. This is probably DK-ish, maybe, between DK and worsted in some spots. So these would be thicker socks, but I still think they'd be really fun socks. So this is the third choice for my hand spun socks. So let me know which one you think should be the one that I cast on for my hand spun socks. And then as soon as I don't know if I would cast those on next week. I'm going to wait to see what you guys think over probably for about a week, because I need to work on that lace pullover. I need no distractions. So I'll probably wait about a week and see what you guys think, and then either next episode I'll have just cast them on, or I'll let you know which yarn I'm going to go with. So that is all the knitting that I have to share with you this week. And so next I have the 10 random facts. So I have done this in 2 other episodes. If I can figure out which ones those are, I may link them up in the cards or down below, just in case you're a new viewer and you haven't seen those. Basically, I got this idea from Steph, who I think has a new YouTube channel. Steph, you changed your YouTube channel, so it's now like AdoreKnit. Whatever it is, I will link it down below if you want to go find her new channel. But she did this kind of idea a while ago where she did 50 random facts about herself. And I just thought it was such a fun idea. And so I've kind of been breaking it up into 10 fact increments that I've been sprinkling in throughout my episodes as we've reached a chat week and I don't have another topic that I want to talk about. So this is the third set of 10 random facts, and again, if I can find the other ones, I will link them in case you're interested. So we are going to start with something just totally bizarre, and actually I don't think it's bizarre. I think this is actually pretty common from what I read about it, but I can only wink with one eye. Dennis makes fun of me for this for some reason. I think he can wink with both eyes, but I can wink perfectly fine with my right eye. Like, it's really, really easy. But if I try to wink with my left eye, my face is just a contorted mess. I cannot do it. I think we tried to see if what Avery could do. I don't remember. But basically, it just has to do with the strength of your muscles. So the muscles surrounding this eye are much stronger than the muscles surrounding that eye. I don't know if they've kind of correlated it to your dominant. Like, I'm right-handed, so I don't know if that is a correlation. But anyway, I can only wink with my right eye, and I look like a complete fool if I try to wink with my left eye. Let me know, do you wink with either or both or whatever? Again, this is random facts, right? The second thing, so my first major job, like my first job, like real job was, well, okay. We're talking real job like adulthood or a real job as teenager. My first real teenager job was as a swimming instructor, and my parents had put me through swimming all the way to the top level. I did not get my lifeguarding because I don't think I'd be a good lifeguard. But I do think I was a pretty good swimming instructor. So I did that for many, many years. And I actually wonder if that has now led to the fact that I do not enjoy being wet. I don't like it. So this kind of goes into random fact number 3. You'd think that I would love the water and that we have a pool and I'd be in there all the time. Now, it is a cold freaking pool, so I don't go in there very often. But I don't like being wet anymore. I just, you know, the idea of going into a lake, I'm like, no, thank you. Even like basic showers, I'm just like, "Ugh, it's basically because I need to. And so going into random fact number 3, I don't like getting my face wet. And this was never a problem, obviously, growing up and swimming and as an instructor. I had to get my face wet. But now at this point, at my age now, I've just decided I don't like getting my face wet. And if I can avoid it, I will. Like even taking a shower, I am like a face away from the shower head. I know a lot of people like to face the shower head and just like, you know, take in the whole experience. I want as little as possible to do with the water streaming down into my face. Like I need, if you have seen, I think these exist for children when like little kids are having baths and they have these funny little hats to keep the water from running in their eyes. I need one of those hats. I need to look into that. But yeah, are you a face forward or face away from the shower head person? I'm definitely face away. So next one, I don't tend to drink a lot of pop. We were not brought up on pop. We never have it in the house, but my guilty pleasure is soda pop. So if we go out to a restaurant, and normally I just get tea or something, but my guilty pleasure, if I'm really feeling like getting a pop, it's root beer. I could be perfectly fine with never having, you know, a Coke or a ginger ale or any of those ever again. I do also like cream soda, but root beer is something that I really, really enjoy, especially like root beer floats in the summertime. Delicious. So next, we're kind of staying with the food theme here. I cannot stand spicy food at all. Like, at all. Sometimes just putting pepper in things is too spicy for me. My family, my mom, even my brothers now, they thrive on super hot pepper. She grows her own peppers. She dries them over the winter. They would probably kill me, but yeah, I cannot handle spicy food. If we go out to a restaurant, yeah, I have to be very wary of if they have one of those little peppers beside it. I'm like, that's a no-go. If they consider it spicy, I would probably consider it deadly. Whereas like my mom would barely be able to taste that at all. So next one, I am not a super competitive person, just generally speaking. Like I just don't care about being competitive except when it comes to Connect 4. I am super competitive with Connect 4. I have all my little strategies that I like to employ. Dennis will not play Connect 4 with me. Avery has started playing, and I've told her, because we have a couple of sets in the house and she'll want to play it, I've told her, I'm like, I'm not going to be nice to you. Like, you're not going to win if you win, it's on your own merit because I'm not letting you win. And yeah, I Connect 4, super competitive. Everything else in life, yeah, no, I'm not. So the next one, I was thinking, I have no favorite ice cream flavor. A lot of people, if you ask them, you know, what's your favorite flavor, they can name something. I really can't. I'm the type, especially with food things, unless it's spicy, I enjoy being a little adventurous with things, like tasty things. So like if we go to a restaurant and they have a new dessert menu, you know, I tend to want to try something on the new dessert menu, or even the regular menu. I tend to want to try something on the new menu versus getting something that I've gotten before. And the same thing is with ice cream. If I go somewhere and they have an ice cream flavor that I've never tried before, I'm more likely to want to try that than something that I've tried before. Whereas like we have, like, you know, my best friend, she always gets vanilla, and I'm like, why would you always get vanilla with all the flavors that are out there? Why would you always get vanilla? And she's like, because I know I like it. And I guess, you know, I can see the merit behind that, but then for me, I'm like, I don't think I've ever had ice cream that tastes bad, right? So I like trying different flavors. And yeah, so I'd like to know, do you have a favorite flavor, or do you like to try all the different flavors too? But honestly, if someone were to ask me if I had a favorite flavor, I don't think I could answer that. If I had to pick something, I could probably narrow it down to like a flavor family, but really I don't have a favorite ice cream. So the next thing is that I have attached earlobes. So if you see, I don't know if you know that this is a thing, but see how they're like, I don't have the little gap there. So I have attached earlobes, and we were actually looking at Avery. So Avery, I joke, she is completely her daddy. She looks like him. She has all the kind of characteristics of his side of the family. She acts like him. He says she acts like me, but no. She acts like him. So the only other things that we have in common are our eye color, and then she also has some freckles, which she got from my side of the family. But we recently figured out that she also shares my attached earlobes. And so that is 3 things that we have in common. Everything else, I swear to you, is Dennis. But yeah, so that's another thing, is that I have attached earlobes. What do you have? Do you even realize that there's different earlobes out there? I mean, it's really not a big deal, but it's just curiosity, right? And then finally, the final 2 things kind of tie in together in a way, because they both have to do with when I was back in university. So the first one is, it's not specific to university, but it really came to a forefront in university. I have been a lifelong procrastinator. It's just the way I am. I can remember all the way back to elementary school. I would just do things, you know, it would not be like, okay, get home, do my work, get it out of the way. I would leave it to the last possible minute. I remember through high school, you know, doing my reports and doing, like, if I had a presentation due, I would be doing it the night before. And I think because for the most part, I still was graded fairly well on these things, there was never any motivation to change the habit, because I got by, right? So like everything I did, I got a good enough grade to get by, so there was never any motivation. I didn't want to do it right away, right? So in university, I really got to the point where I was testing my limits. And I remember that there was one year, I don't think it was actually no, it would have been my first year, because I can picture myself in my dorm room writing these reports, and it was the dorm room from my first year. So during the first year of university, there was one semester where I had 2 reports due, and they were both due on the same day, and I ended up writing both of them. I think they were essays. I don't know what they were, but one was for English, and then one was for, I think, art history or something. I ended up writing both of them the day before they were due. So I wrote 2 essays the night, like the night before they were both due. I wrote 2 essays, and I think this is what kind of changed things a little bit, because that was not pleasant. I remember writing the first one, and then I had to write the second one, and it was an English report on the movie Blade Runner. And I remember just trying to write through it, and I got to a point where I didn't even remember what I was writing. I was just typing into the wee hours of the morning. And I submitted them both. I crawled to class the next day. I submitted them both. Now, the funny part was, and this is the part that Dennis will tell people because he thinks it's hilarious. The funny part is that when the reports were graded and being handed back, my English one specifically, the TA called my name and called me up to the front, and I was thinking, oh gosh, this is going to be embarrassing, right? Like, this is just going to be the worst grade that I have ever gotten. And I went up to collect my essay, and he was like, just so you know, you got the highest mark in the class. I think you should look into pursuing like more English classes, because this was just like a side one that I was doing. I majored in art. He's like, I think you should look into doing more English classes. And I was like, are you sure? Are you sure this is the right essay, right? And so I was like, I looked at it, and I got back to, I don't know if I read it there or I brought it back to my dorm room with me, but I read it, because I didn't even remember what I wrote. I read it, and I was like, gosh darn it, that was pretty good. Like, I should do more things when I'm not, you know, mentally there more often, because it was just so late when I wrote that one. But it ended up getting to be where I kind of figured out a system that worked for me, that I was still kind of leaving things to the last minute, but then I was still a little bit more prepared. So as the years went on, what I would do is I would gather all my information, I would make all my notes, and I would figure out what I was going to have as my introduction and my middle and all my little points of, you know, proving whatever, and I would gather all that. But then within the day before that the assignment was due, I would sit down and go through and just type everything out together for that assignment the day before, because obviously my brain just works somehow where it just flows and spews and whatever. But that was my ultimate procrastination, and I do think I've gotten better since that. I still see it creeping here and there, especially when I'm getting ready for shows and stuff. The first couple of shows that I did a number of years ago, there was a lot of prep work that I would do right up to the day. I do find that I work really well under that kind of pressure. But I have gotten better about it. So now I like to do little bits as I go, little bits, and then by the time the show comes, I'm mostly done, and I just kind of have to work on some of the things that I really, really want to bring to the show. So that has changed slightly, but I still think at heart I am a true procrastinator. And then the final thing, because it's also kind of connected to my time at university, is that I met Dennis online. So I think a lot of people now, it's very normal to have met your significant other online. There's tons of dating sites and stuff like that. We met online before meeting online was really a thing. So the internet had just started creeping up, and I don't think there wasn't really dating sites. There was more like chat, programs for chatting with people. And again, bringing me back to my first year university dorm, I can picture this very, very clearly. This is another story that Dennis loves to tell because he thinks it's hilarious. Because I was studying for one of my exams, and this was a very, very important exam. And for some reason, I had my little chat thing on my computer, and I hadn't, you could put it, okay, here's another comment for down below. Who of you remember ICQ? Okay, so Dennis and I met on ICQ. And so I had my little ICQ thing. It was up because it was something that just started every time you had the computer on. But I had forgotten to put it on where you could say, do not disturb, don't bother me. I hadn't done that. And so he messaged me because ICQ had this function where you could just randomly, just random, and just you would get people randomly, you'd see their information and you could decide if you wanted to send them a message. So he found me through that and he sent me a message. Because I was studying for an exam, I was not very pleasant to him. I was very short. I remember this. I was very short in my responses. I don't remember specifically. I think at one point I did say, look, I'm studying for an exam, right? Because, I had... I don't know why I didn't turn it off. But hey, if I turned it off, we wouldn't be here today where we are, right? Well, the thing is, he kept messaging me, but I was studying for an art history exam, and I guess I had told him what I was trying to do. Like, I was trying to find information or pictures online of these paintings that I was supposed to memorize because I was creating some sort of study guide with them. And because he had lived in France and he had done all this stuff and he was familiar with these paintings, he started looking for the things for me and sending me the pages that I needed to complete this study guide. So I didn't end up brushing him off completely. He ended up helping me for this exam. He's like, oh, you wouldn't have passed without me. That I doubt. But he was very helpful, and in the end, we did keep talking and chatting, and about a year and a half later, we ended up starting dating, and that brings us to today, and we have been married. I think this year will be 11 years. So yeah, I met Dennis on ICQ. So that is your last random fact. That is all I have for you this week. I hope that was enjoyable, a fun little episode for you. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. It's supposed to be lovely weather, especially where we are. If you're going to the Kawartha show, I hope you come by and say hi. By the time this is up, I will already be there, so I hope you have a fantastic weekend with lots and lots of crafting, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.